It's Mike D for Mike D's Marketing Mix, and Mike D's Marketing Mix is brought to you by cyberspaceyourplace.com and reputationdomination.ninja. So in this episode, we're going to call this the question mark episode. Two things we're going to cover. All right, I have my whiteboard behind me to get my thoughts going. First thing we're going to talk about is the question mark surrounding these new domain extensions. What to do. And after that, we're going to talk about the question marks surrounding the many voices of Google. And I'm going to attempt to do a couple of those voices as well for you. All right, so let's dive right in. Domain extensions. I want you to think of it like phone numbers. Remember in the late 90s, depending on the metro area you lived in, all of a sudden there was all sorts of new area codes that popped up. When I lived in Philly, we came up with the 215 area code. And you can dial 7 digits. And that changed in the late 90s with obviously all these cell phones coming online, and they came up with a new area code. They came up with 267, and before that they came up with 610, which was the suburbs. Eventually they came out with 484. So area codes for phones started to proliferate because of the fact that there was all these new phone numbers that came online. Makes sense, right? Now, the same thing is happening in the world of the domain extension. Now, the domain extension is what we would say the .com or the .net or the .us, all right? And there's popular ones that have been around for many years. .com, which stands for .commercial, way back in the, whatever it was, the 80s or whatever, when it first came out, was meant for commercial, meaning a business would use a .com to represent their business commercially on the internet. All right, so now we have tons of other domain extensions coming on. So what should you do? Well, think about it logically. Should you go out and should you buy and renew 100 domain extensions every year? Which should you snag up every single domain extension related to your business? I don't think you should. I really don't think you should. But let's just think about a couple of the ones that are popping out. Let's just say you were a pizza shop or a fitness studio or something like that, and you've never had a website, you were doing a website for the first time, guess what's available? .pizza is available, and also .fitness. Yeah, I am purposely using .fitness and .pizza together in this example because they both are polar opposite, right? So if you want to get fit, don't eat a whole lot of pizza, right? Anyway, so .pizza, .fitness. That's an example of two new domain extensions that are available. What else do we have? We have .services. We have .plumbing. So here's my recommendation. My recommendation is if you were going to step up your online marketing and you want to do a whole bunch of landing pages, but you already have a website. You already have a .com website, right? And you want to do some landing pages, or maybe you want to introduce a new service or something that's not related. Well, you could go ahead and snag up just for fun one of those domain extensions. Let me give you an example. So my wife's business is a fitness studio. So she had a website which is a .com. That's where the website's been live for a couple of years since she started her business. But recently we purchased the .fitness extension. Now, the reason why we purchased the .fitness extension is because her business is called All In Fitness. Now it's really simple. We can say All In .fitness and we capture her whole business name in one. Does that make sense? So who knows? Eventually we may relaunch the whole website around that extension, but not now. Let's say you're in the plumbing business, or you're a plumber, and you wanted to launch a new service, or you wanted to launch like a landing page to drive ads to it. You may just snag up .plumber just for that reason. Or here's the only reason really to jump in feet first with a new domain extension. If you don't have any kind of website at all, and you want to just go ahead and launch into that. So example, we do websites for a lot of different pizza shops around the country. So we always talk about how you might want to snag up a .pizza. Now here's what you need to know about these domains, right? These domain extensions are a lot more expensive per year to register. Usually going anywhere from $20 a year up to sometimes $69, $79 a year just to register because of their relevancy to the specific industry. But there's so many of them, so just don't get confused and be strategic about it. Do you have to go out there and actually register all these domains every year? No. And also remember the number one sin that some people really think that just because they register a domain, it's keyworded or something like that, it's going to help them in search. It doesn't really work that way. If a website is built on that domain and the website is relevant, then it can help you in search. So anyway, end all of the domain extension confusion. Think logically about it. Only snag up a new extension if it really does make sense. I would definitely encourage you to explore. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below or reach out to us directly. And of course, don't forget the fun one that's available now, .sucks, right? I wrote a blog post about .sucks a while back. So anyway, a lot of new domain extensions out there. Compare it to many years ago when there was new area codes that came online. Same thing here. There's a ton of websites out there. There's going to be more and more coming. Your competitors are getting savvy online, and just the .coms are going. There's not that many left, right? So anyway, let's have a little fun with our next topic here, what I call the many voices of Google. The many voices of Google. It's actually pretty sad, actually, and it gives folks like us who are in the internet marketing business, who help a lot of small business owners with internet marketing, with mobile apps, with building new websites, with redeveloping tired old websites. It really does make our job a lot harder in the internet marketing world when we are actually ethical and have a good quality product and service to sell, because there's so many, I just call them what they are, whores, prostitutes, and thieves out there that you really need to be careful of. And I'll give you a couple examples. And there's so many, but we're going to really just center it around Google, okay? There's a couple kind of phone calls that a business owner may receive where the person on the other end of that phone is going to misrepresent themselves and almost make you believe that they're actually calling you from Google, calling you from sunny Mountain View, California at the Googleplex. Well, most of the time, that's not happening, okay? So the one that really I get a kick out of is the one that comes from offshore, and it usually sounds something like this, where you can't even understand. They go, "We're calling you from the Google, and we're trying to get your business on the Google." I don't really know Google's policies, but I'm pretty sure they do not have any call centers in these developing countries. All right, so when you hear the call from the Google, probably can hang up. All right, now what's the other kind of call you get that may lead you to believe that's coming from Google? Oh, maybe it's a really slick voice on the other end of the phone, and it could be a recorded message, and it's somebody who says something like, "Because of the new Google algorithm change, your business is at risk. Please press 1 now to make sure your business is not at risk because of the changes recently with Google." I heard that one. And then, oh, this one was great. The nice female voice calling, they were calling about another business we own that's local. And I love this one. Really nice, sounds professional. And she says, "Well, I'm calling because a spot has opened up on Google, and we want your business to take that spot. We want your business to take the spot. Please, let's talk about the spot that's open on Google just for you." Wrong answer. Doesn't work that way. There are no spots that open up on Google. Okay? If you're in a competitive market, we talked about search engine optimization before. Especially if you're working with us, you have some questions. There's a way to do search engine optimization and be found for some of that limited space on Google. But it doesn't start with, "There's a spot that opened up on Google." Wrong answer. It doesn't go that way. The only call that's even somewhat remotely valid is when actually you get the robocall. And the robocall that actually says your Google listing is not claimed. That is actually the only one that's actually remotely valid. If you actually haven't claimed a local Google listing, you will get some robocalls about it. And that's mainly because the first step in you actually buying advertising on Google usually starts with you actually claiming your business listing. That's the only reason why Google would actually send those robo-dialers out. So keep in mind, the offshore, "We're calling you from the Google." Wrong. The automated voice, who sounds very professional, who tells you about the Google algorithm change. Wrong again, misrepresenting, they're not with Google. Or, "The lovely lady, there's a spot on Google." Doesn't work like that. All right, if you're going to do search engine optimization, if your business is going to be found on Google, it starts with a relevant website, it starts with good content, it starts with tracking all that, it starts with seeing where your competitors are, what you need to do to outrank them. And there's a whole long list that needs to be done. But please don't believe anybody who says they're with Google. And you know what? Also, be careful as well. Be careful how much skepticism you get from some of these that you create in your mind from some of these shady operations. Unfortunately, it's a good idea to have the guard up when you're getting these kinds of calls and have that healthy skepticism. But the double-edged sword to building a big brick wall in front of your business or even your life in general, I learned this from a guy named Brendan Burchard, is if you have this wall created that doesn't let the bad guys in, that same wall also doesn't let the good guys in. It may not let good ideas in that are actually valid. So just be careful out there. Here we are, real people. If you need some help, get at us. If you need some help with your website, redesigning it, making it look awesome, get at us. Any other questions, we're happy to answer them for you. We'll talk to you soon.